The year has turned, we missed the turn. We write the wrong day anyway. The calendar demands respect. Our brains vote no, then nap all day. What the frock is going on here? We may not know, but still we cheer. Raise your voice, your bless, your proud, because the frock is happening now. They shout its soil with pious rage as if that shocks the world anew. Of course the drums all beat for fuel. We knew the plot by chapter 2. California knows what's best for bodies, minds, and daily bread. They fix us all by force of law, then ask why trust us then instead. So grab. So grab. So grab. So grab, Frock, and come aboard. This nonsense can be ignored. We joke, we gripe, we sin while Rome burns on. We do our thing.
Good morning, America. How are you? I'm Rabbi Dave, and for the first time in 2026, I say, what the frock?
Good morning, America. I am Friar Rod, and it is 2026, but I will be saying 2025 for at least the next month.
At least the next month, because that's the way things go.
And the older I get, I'm not sure if it's getting worse or better.
Could be a little of both, couldn't it?
Well, you'd think after how many years? 57 years that I would have, it'd be old habit. But
Well, in my world, I get confused as to what day it is. I missed a PT appointment last week because I had the day and the date, and somehow or another I convinced myself that the date was on the second day. And anyway, I showed up for my PT appointment, and they were like, no, that was yesterday. Like, oh, whoops, sorry.
well, you're retired, so you have that excuse.
That's exactly right. When you're retired, you don't got to worry about those things. And speaking of not having to worry about things anymore, what a relief it must be for, what's this guy's name, Maduro?
Yeah.
He no longer has to run a country anymore.
No.
What a relief, wouldn't that be?
He gets 3 meals a day, right?
Meals.
Probably
Taxpayer-funded room, workout space.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to sweat the small stuff anymore.
Free cable, man.
Probably free satellite. And he has thousands upon thousands of minions like Bernie Sanders who suddenly love him.
Mm-hmm.
These are the same people, by the way, who 5 years ago, 6 years ago, were screaming that they wanted the United States to do something because he was illegitimate, he was illegal. And now they're protesting in the streets of Seattle and New York.
Free him. Free Maduro.
Which is, I guess, in their view, is probably a good thing because this has completely distracted attention from, what was that other thing we were talking about?
Oh,
I forgot.
Something, I don't know. I need to go to my kids' daycare.
Oh, yeah, Smallies or tortillas, one of the two. Because you heard about the tortilla thing, right?
Yeah,
California. Yeah. Anyway, so it's distracted from all of that. And nobody's paying any attention to that stuff anymore because now we're all screaming the same, literally the same phrase they've been screaming for how many years now? Yeah. No blood for oil. Because this is all about oil, right?
Well, I'm sure that was a little factor into it.
Oh, I completely disagree. This is all about oil.
Yeah.
But not the way they think it is. I mean, my response to these people who are saying it's all about oil is, well, no shit. What do you think China and Russia wanted from Venezuela? Why were they so knee deep in Venezuela? Was it because they just loved their socialist allies and were there to
wasn't Iran actually processing their oil through Venezuela so they could get it out?
Yes. So yeah, it is all about oil. It's all about this idea that China, which is, again, is there anybody that still disagrees that China is our main, I wouldn't call them necessarily enemy, but certainly they are not our friend.
No, they're our main concern.
Economically, it's a problem. And so How many of you have heard of this thing called the Belt and Road Initiative? Raise your hands.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar, but what is it?
I don't know. What
Red
is it,
China,
Dave?
which we call West Taiwan, started this thing probably 10 or 15 years ago. I'm trying to remember exactly when they started this. They started this idea called the Belt and Road Initiative. The problem was that China, Red China, West Taiwan, was making too much steel, too much infrastructure stuff. They were making more than they could use. Concrete, steel, stuff that you use for
they hadn't learned about supply and demand or just in time. You know,
that's one way to look at it. I think the more realistic way to look at it is they had learned about that and they were doing it on purpose, because what they turned out to do then was they took all this concrete, steel, piping, aluminum, and they began to ship it overseas to countries that were Venezuelan and others as well. Countries that had managed to completely fuck themselves up. Remember, Venezuela used to be very good country, very nice country, very rich country. And under the socialist utopia has become, what's that phrase? Oh, yeah, third world shithole.
I was going to say a hellhole.
So I think Trump called them shitholes, right? Third world shitholes.
He did.
So China steps in and starts sending them all this stuff. Now, there's a problem here. You notice who's not buying the Chinese steel and the Chinese concrete that they're exporting? Who's not buying that?
Who's not buying it? We're not buying it. Russia's not buying it.
We're not buying it. Europe's not buying it.
No.
So they have to sell it to these third world countries that really can't afford it. So what do they get in return?
They get other things they need.
They get influence. They get Venezuela and these other countries to think this way before they do anything. What will China say? If we do this, will China keep giving us concrete and steel to build buildings that nobody can afford to live in, so forth and so on? And this is the basic thrust of the Belt and Road Initiative. This idea that China is influencing these countries by giving them stuff. This is exactly what the Soviet Union tried to do. You know,
that's what we do with money.
It's what we did. There's a lot of people say, well, Dave, it's just like the Marshall Plan. No, it's really not. The Marshall Plan was, to a completely flattened Europe, and you had to agree to, take the money and so forth and so on. And once it was done, it was done. We theoretically, we didn't keep spending money on these things, but apparently we do. So
we just dropped a base over here and a base over there.
Right. Well, China's doing the same thing. Soviet Union tried to do the same thing with Afghanistan and Cuba, especially. Angola. How many of you remember the 1980s and Angola and the Cuban bases in Angola?
I was not paying attention a whole lot to it.
Right. Nobody was, except for those
when I was that young.
Yeah. So this is the same thing. And the theory here then is that because China does not necessarily have oil reserves, I'm sure they have some, but they don't have enough to power their stuff. Well, look, Venezuela, we gave you a bunch of belt and roads, concrete and steel. You can pay for that. Since you don't have any actual dollars, you can pay for those with oil. We'll take your oil. How's that? Well, now, since the United States has removed Maduro, China's panicking. I mean, you can see it in the newspapers today. China is having an absolute, just a 60 cycle. What do we do?
Part of it, too, is that their envoys had just met hours before with Maduro.
Right.
So it's like, hey, China's left a building. Get Maduro now.
Yeah. I mean, what does that tell you about the intel that's involved here?
Oh, in a country, in a shithole country like that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How hard is it? How hard is it to buy assets, right?
Well, but if you're the Chinese, okay, and you're meeting with this guy and you're sending, what is that telling you about the security that you have there. You can't tell these people anything, because if anything you tell them, it's going straight to the Americans. They're going to find out instantaneously. And oh, by the way, we also sold the Chinese, the West Taiwanese also sold the Venezuelans billions of dollars worth of anti-air equipment, none of which worked.
Well, it was the Russians too, right?
It's Russian designed, but it was Chinese manufactured.
I love the X posts where they're saying, "Oh, U.S. isn't going to attack. We've got all of these anti-aircraft missiles," and then the community notes underneath, "Well, they didn't work."
That did not age well. That did not work well. Now, we are told in the after thing that one of the missiles actually, or one of the helicopters was hit. We're not told by what. We're not told if it was small arms fire or if it was.
I got the impression it was small arms fire, because it was
the
still.
Impression I got too.
They could still fly it and land it,
But in any case, none of this stuff that they paid for in oil actually worked. How does that make you feel if you're Venezuelan? What the hell did we just buy?
You know, Maduro was what, a bus driver prior to being the president of the country. So,
well, Fidel Castro was almost a baseball player. Can you imagine how the world would be different if the Washington Senators had said, "Yeah, let's give that guy a shot," instead of saying, "Yeah, thanks, but no thanks."
He would have been much more of a capitalist after that.
You'd think, but then again, the inevitability of history is if one idiot doesn't do something, then some of these others would. So you've got this whole road and belt initiative thing going on. You've got Venezuela in the process of inviting in all of America's enemies, making themselves a safe haven for narco terrorists. Colombia's Farc to Mexico's Sinaloa cartel are all operating out of Venezuela. And Venezuela had become a key player in the illegal alien invasion in the United States. We don't talk a lot about Venezuelans.
One of the Venezuelan gangs, right?
Right, exactly. So all of that had become really bad. Now imagine if Trump had not won in 2024, where would we be?
We'd be still fighting Venezuelan gangs and whatnot.
Well, we wouldn't be. We would be running news stories with quoting mayors saying, "None of that's actually happening. We don't know what you're talking about." Don't pay any attention to those videos of the gangs
until it affects them.
Right. Then of course it won't affect them because the gangs aren't that stupid.
Well, okay.
I mean, individuals, yes, but from a strategic standpoint, if you're a gang, don't you say to somebody, probably not a good idea to antagonize them.
Yeah.
Since they're letting us do what we want everywhere else.
So if there's any gang members that are left in the U.S. after this incident, what are they saying? Holy crap.
Right. Other than the Bloods and the Crips. I mean, they're
have
probably
nowhere else to go.
Yeah. So, and then, of course, it is all about oil. Anytime somebody says that to me, "Hey, Dave, it's just all about oil." Well, no shit, Sherlock. What do you think the Chinese were getting paid in? So, yeah, the Chinese, the Russians, they're dependent on that. And we just deprived them both of that ability to have a friendly Venezuela oil system. You keep saying to me, "Well, it's all about oil," as if that's a bad thing. Yeah, it's about oil. And
Go ahead.
You know who else is getting screwed by this? In theory, anyway. Let's say Venezuela, we take over Venezuela, we start running Venezuela, and we start importing Venezuelan oil. Who else gets screwed by this?
Well, Saudis and...
Well, not necessarily the Saudis, because we don't import a lot from Saudis, but where does our oil import from? Anybody remember? I
thought we frack as much as we can.
Canada?
Well, okay, yeah.
Who decided that they didn't want to participate in the XL Keystone Pipeline?
Well, true. Well, they were going to stop all imports, exports.
Right. So Canada's going to get screwed by this, which is okay. Again, it is all about oil.
Yeah.
Now, the big thing to keep in mind here, though, is that most of this is really, at its core issue, a lot of this comes down to the most essential and fundamental policy, foreign policy mandate that the United States has ever had, the Monroe Doctrine. Mm-hmm. What we did, what was happening in Venezuela simply cannot be allowed. It can't be. We were falling back on this most basic of doctrines, the Monroe Doctrine, to protect our own sovereignty from the West Taiwanese, the Russians, the Mexicans, and even to a lesser degree the Canadians. And so, yeah, we legally used some 5-year-old drug charges, but like most things that are strategic in the world today, this is an action that needed to be backed by the fine points of law, and it was. But the reality is that Maduro and his takedown was flat-out Monroe Doctrine-driven necessity. And it has sent a lot of messages, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see where Colombia is starting to mouth off now, too? And people are like, do you really want to do that?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, they were starting to mouth off first with the whole prisoners, or not the prisoners, but the immigrants that we were shipping back.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting thing to see how this whole thing shakes out. But in the meantime, watching the useful idiots who, by the way, less than literally hours after this whole thing happened, managed to show up to their protests with their pre-printed signs.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like they knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. Almost. Sorry, I had to sneeze again.
Oh, okay.
Much as I did the other night. Only this time I actually managed to hit the mute button, I think. I'm bemused by people like Bernie Sanders. I'm bemused by the mayor of Seattle, whose entire agenda now has been upended because her entire agenda at her inauguration the other day was about how we have to stop talking about the Somalis.
Yeah.
You must stop. In fact, in the state of Washington, we have a new law that just went into effect that basically adds a hate crime element to any crime if you can even hint that there might be some racial component to it. It becomes a hate crime. So the Attorney General of Washington basically said, if you go out and try to film a Somali daycare center here in Washington State, you're committing a hate crime. And then the mayor of Seattle said, stop talking about the Somalis. And then the next day, Maduro gets captured. And guess what? We're not talking about the Somalis anymore. It's okay. Now let's talk about this.
Let's talk about capturing commies.
God, wouldn't that be great to see the helicopters swoop in over the Puget Sound and show up to Seattle City Hall? or what's his name? Mondami in New York. Warm collectivism. The warmth of collectivism versus the cold of icy rugged individualism.
Individualism. Yeah, that was a statement.
Right. The pictures that immediately start showing up on the internet of the two Koreas from space. Mm-hmm. Warm collectivism in the north, where there's like one spot.
Yeah.
Rugged individualism in the south, where it's all brightly lit. I don't know, man. The whole protesting thing is getting out of hand. And, of course, it's AstroTurf. It's not real. Yeah. Just like it wasn't real for the issues with that. So it makes you wonder, though, where do we go with this? And it's going to affect the midterms. Mm-hmm. Everything is political now. Everything is this, that, and the other. But if the Republicans lose the midterms, we're fucked.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Republican Party understands that. I think the Republican Party leadership, with the exception of the president, is still in this, if we could just get them to like us mode, we'll be all right.
I think they got to move away from that getting to like us. Just let your actions speak for itself.
Right. And I don't see any of them out there doing it. So anyway, Maduro is now in New York City jail. Wouldn't it be weird? Okay, so this is how my mind works. Cammie says, where are they keeping him? So, with any kind of luck, they're keeping him in Epstein's cell. And
That's funny.
What if they put him in Epstein's cell and they left a bunch of sheets there too?
Dirty sheets.
Yeah, just to kind of, look, yeah, you're here, we got you. But there's always, as Mr. Spock said, there are always alternatives. But in the meantime, of course, people like Bernie Sanders and others are out there screeching and yelling. And Twitter X is full of the videos of these same people 4 years ago calling for the ouster of Maduro. Which brings me to my point, which is that it's never what is done. It's always who did it. Mm-hmm. If the guy or gal that you like did it, it's fine.
Yeah.
If the guy or gal that you don't like did it, even if it's something you wanted done, then you have to screech and whine and moan and cry and bitch and act like, well, a socialist, because that's what you are. And as we all know, a socialist is just a communist that hasn't committed yet. Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I'm Rod.
And as we hinted at in the previous segment there, we were talking, just giving Rod a little bit. So California has a new law.
Yep.
What else is new? That used to be one of my favorite things to do.
It's one of 300, right?
Yes.
I think it's
300 laws. California was so screwed up that they needed 300 new laws this year.
Yeah.
And that's, I'll be honest with you, 300 isn't a lot. We had a couple of shows that I did back in the early 20-teens.
Yeah.
900 laws
Yeah.
taking effect on January 1st.
A law a day is all we ask from our legislators.
I always get bemused by these people who complain, this is the least effective Congress ever, least effective legislature ever, measured in the number of laws that they passed. Yeah, I see that as exactly the opposite. I see it less effective the more laws they're passing, because this is... How screwed up is California? How screwed up is Washington? How screwed up is the country that we need all these new laws that take effect on January 1st? So California passed a law. And the law, as I understand it, went into effect this year. It may have gone into effect last year, and I might be a year behind, but...
I think it's this year.
I think it goes into effect this year. It was passed in 2023, so that would make sense. The law requires folic acid fortification of corn masa flour.
So it's only corn.
Only corn masa. Now, who eats corn masa more than anybody else other than me? Because I do like my taco chips.
Not the Somalis. It's
not the Venezuelans.
No. Well.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Corn masa is the foundational, for those of you that live in other places where this doesn't, this isn't popular. It's basically the foundation. It's corn flour.
Yeah, it's corn flour.
Which makes tortillas. Which makes God's greatest creation, which is, of course, tortilla chips, which go on his second greatest creation, which is salsa. Be that as it may, it's pretty clear that the people, the racial component that eats the most of this would be Hispanic. Particularly those of, shall we say, Mexican descent, of which California has many people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They outnumber whites now in California.
Which isn't a big deal. I like Mexico.
No, it's not. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, as far as numbers go, they are the majority.
Right. And so because of culture and those kinds of things, they tend to eat a lot of that. And because I like Mexican food, I eat Mexican food myself. So, as I said, it's the key ingredient in corn tortillas, chips, and other related foods.
Tamalito. That's sweet corn tamalito.
Oh, God. Have you seen this new... It's a thing that's only come out in the last probably 6 months, up here anyway. It's like sweet corn dip.
Oh, really?
Herta's makes it, and it is so good.
Oh.
And I bought 2 of them yesterday. I have 1 left. Because I thought, well, I'm going to eat a few chips waiting for dinner. Yeah.
Diabetic coma from a...
God, that stuff is so good. Anyway, if you can find the sweet corn dip, Herta's is the best. There's some others out there. But anyway, so the policy goal here of requiring folic acid fortification of corn masa flour is to reduce neural tube defects in newborns. Don't ask me what a neural tube defect is. I don't know, and my wife's not awake. So
they're only targeting Hispanic or Latino women of birthing age.
Well, it seems that way because these neural tube defects cause conditions like spina bifida, which are strongly associated with folate deficiency in early pregnancy. This is one of the reasons why when you get pregnant, if you get pregnant, you take, folic acid, you take prenatal vitamins. It's why it's important that you actually go see your doctor. Mm-hmm. It's all this prenatal care stuff that my wife is always concerned about because people show up and they don't have any records, they haven't any care. Oh, great, and we have to deal with this. Since many pregnancies, quote unquote, are unplanned, okay, the idea is to add folic acid directly to staple foods which people already eat. That would include, by the way, people who are A, not pregnant, and people who B, can't get pregnant.
Yeah.
So we're just going to put this folic acid into your corn masa, and there you go. Now, for those of you who are wondering, because science, folate is a B vitamin. It's essential to early fetal development. And decades ago, the United States required folic acid fortification of wheat flour, which did lead to a significant drop in neural tube defects nationwide. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I did not know that either. No serious person disputes why the folate matters. The dispute is how you deliver it and to whom. The problem is that folic acid is not the same thing as eating, natural folates. Folate acid is a synthetic compound, which most people process just fine. But there is a minority, probably the same people like Rod who are allergic to gluten, who don't.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
30 to 40% of the population has variations in one of their genes, which I'm not even going to try to explain, which impairs their ability to convert folic acid into biologically active forms, which the body can actually, use. When that conversion fails, the unmetabolized folic acid just accumulates in your bloodstream, which has then been associated with, not conclusively, but persistently, with the increased risk of certain cancers, immune effects, and the masking of a vitamin B12 deficiency. Now, it's not settled yet, but it is being studied. And California completely ignored those issues when they said you must add folic acid to corn masa, which is then consumed by at least a population of which 30 to 40% are now going to face certain cancers, immune effects, and masking of vitamin B12 deficiencies, which again is going to do what to the costs of medical costs in California?
It's going to go up.
Mandatory fortification assumes that everybody is the same. And of course, California is one of those places where you can definitively say nobody here is the same. The law forces everyone who eats corn tortilla to consume folic acid, including people who already take folic acid.
Yeah.
Who would that be? Oh, yeah. Pregnant women who are getting proper prenatal care. People with metabolic issues, i.e. diabetics. People who avoid synthetic additives just because they're, that kind of person. And there's no opt-out. There's no way to not get this in your tortilla in California. Now, supporters argue that the law corrects an inequity because wheat products were fortified long ago, while corn masa was not. So this is an inequity. So we're already
well. So the wheat tortillas that they were already this age and this demographic is already eating. It wasn't enough. We got to supplement that so that the corn chips have it.
Well, I guess that's one way to look at it. There's a difference between equal treatment and cultural targeting.
Yeah.
Right? Corn tortillas are not just another carbohydrate. They're a foundational food with deep cultural meaning. Altering them without broad community consent risks breeding distrust, especially among a population that already views state health mandates with some skepticism. People tolerate guidance. They resist coercion.
Yeah.
So perhaps California could have taken a less flawed approach. They could have had mandatory labeling, not fortification. They could have promoted naturally rich in folate foods. Don't ask me what they are because I don't know. They could have encouraged or subsidized methylfolate, which bypasses all of those issues that it causes. They could expand prenatal outreach and supplemental programs, to actual target the people that actually need this, as opposed to just everyone. And they could have said, you know what, you can have both. You can have fortified and non-fortified, because I believe that you can do that with wheat, right? I can go to the store and buy wheat that's fortified and wheat that's not fortified.
I think so. Probably in the health food section of the
it's not every store, but...
No.
The
there's
folic acid...
non-GMO stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like, people don't want that.
The problem with this law is it's foolish, but it's also overconfident. It assumes that what helped many will harm none. And we live in a society where drugs that kill 10 people, even if they help 100, get taken off the market, right?
Yeah.
Public health succeeds when it works.
Got to save one life, Dave. One life.
Yeah, one life. One life matters. So, public health succeeds when it works with culture, biology, and choice. When it doesn't, it may lower the statistic, but it raises a deeper question, which is, of course, who decides what goes into your daily bread? And how sure do they need to be before they decide for everyone? And, oh, by the way, for those of you that live in, I don't know, Oklahoma, Tennessee, North Kakalaki, you understand that as goes California, so grows the world. Which means that your corn masa and tortillas are now going to be forced to have folate acid in them. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Good. Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I am Rod.
Got into an interesting conversation this week.
Did you?
What's your favorite book of the Old Testament or New Testament, I guess?
Okay.
Depending on how you want to look at it, and why.
Okay. Are you asking me, or are you just telling me?
Yeah,
about
I'm
your
going to throw it at
conversation?
you first. What's
Sure.
your favorite and why?
So, growing up, one of the things that I remember is that I had the utmost respect for Solomon in the Bible, because he was the wisest man on earth, right? And so
that's what they say.
I remember as a child, praying for wisdom. That was probably one of my most continual prayers, is that I would just pray for wisdom all the time. So in doing so, I kind of one of my favorite verses is in Proverbs 3. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight, or straight your paths, whatever. So I'm going to have to go with Proverbs, because I remember reading that over and over again growing up. And it's the wisdom and kind of like, some of it's common sense too. I love common sense.
Solomon is one of those interesting. It's intriguing to me that, because I'm so used to being around people who at seminary and stuff like that, and so they always had these New Testament quotes, all things work to the blessing of God, and blah, blah, blah. And if I were picking a New Testament book, it would be Acts. Mm-hmm. The book of Acts to me is fascinating because there's so much that most modern readers miss in that whole thing. There's a story of Paul on the Areopagus, Mars Hill, where he's talking about you have a statue here to the unknown God. And I have listened to sermons preached about that, the unknown God. They don't even know who they're worshiping. But it's a cultural touchstone for Greek mythology. Yeah. There is no God of creation. They assume that there's one, but they don't know who it was. So things like that. Anyway, but my favorite books have always been First and Second Kings. Okay. And my favorite character in the Bible, if you had to just pick one, this is the guy I want to meet. Who is it?
Oh, I don't know.
Probably Solomon for you, but see, I've just never considered Solomon to be. I know what the Bible says, but the guy had 800 wives?
Something like that. Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Sister Wives. More than one is not wise.
So he was wise, but his EQ, his emotional quotient,
right,
might have not been that great.
I mean, can you just imagine what it would take for 800 wives? The work that becomes. Oh my God.
Well, he had servants to handle all of that too, right? See here. Oh no.
Boy, how'd you like that job?
Your job with her now, please.
Your job is to deal with her for all of her needs and wants. Think of all those kids. All the problems David had with his kids. And
what a family reunion.
Yeah. I know what the scripture says.
Yeah.
But I've always thought that it said it. I've always read that with kind of tongue in cheek. He might be wise in the ways of logic and rhetoric.
Yeah.
But he didn't know shit about women.
That's why I said the EQ part might have been a little low.
My favorite character in the entire Bible is a guy by the name of Ahab.
Okay.
Ahab is an utterly unique and interesting character. And the thing about Ahab is that people read him and they just assume that he's a bad guy, I guess. When you think about Ahab, what do you think about? You think about Elijah, and you think about the prophets of Baal, and you think about his wife, Isabel, which is, in and of itself, Isabel is a fascinating story because Isabel is actually a word play on a name. In the Phoenician, the Isabel is it's a positive about the god Baal. But in the Hebrew, Isabel is a very negative. It literally means queen of shit.
Okay.
And so, if you don't read in Hebrew, you don't get that. Isabel is the real criminal in all this.
Okay.
Ahab is one of those guys, and as a manager for so many years, I had these people that worked for me. You have this employee that you like. He's a good guy. He's loyal to a fault. He's fun to be around. If you need something, he'll get it done. But he always screws up. And he drives you insane. And everybody else is always saying, why don't you just fire that guy? Because I like him.
Yeah.
Ahab, the scripture tells us, Ahab made the Asherah, which are the Asherah poles, which are the way you worship Baal. Basically, he made dildos. And Ahab did more to provoke the Lord God of Israel to anger than all the kings of Israel who went before him. Nobody drove God battier than Ahab did.
Up to that point.
Ahab, well, really even after that point, Ahab, son of Omri, did what was evil in the eyes of the Lord, and then more than all those who were before him. But the thing is, and you don't ever see this with any of the others, Ahab keeps coming back. God doesn't smite him. He kills all the prophets of Baal. And Ahab does what? He goes, oh, geez, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And God says, okay. And then he goes out and does it again. And then he says, please forgive me. And God says, okay, don't do it again. And then he does it again, over and over and over again. And when you read that verse that way, Ahab does more to provoke the Lord God of Israel to anger than all the kings of Israel before him, all of them. You took everybody, David, Saul, all these people. And Ahab is like the one that just, but he doesn't get rid of him. In fact, he sends him both Elijah and Elisha. And he gives him friendly relations with Judah, the kingdom of Judah. And it's only then that Ahab convinces the king Jehoshaphat of Judah to, switch armor when they go into battle, because everybody hates Ahab. And so he thinks he's being clever, and he'll get Jehoshaphat killed, and he'll be fine. Right? But a random bowman, which is awesome, pulls his bow, because boom. Anyway, and hits Ahab. And he doesn't die instantly. You ever caught that in the scriptures? He sits under this tree for the whole day, dying. Ugh. And it doesn't tell us what's going on, but you know in your head, because of the way the story ends, that Ahab is having a conversation with God. You just know that. Because at the end it says, and Ahab rested with his fathers, which is a phrase it does not use about any other king of Israel. And that is a phrase that in the Hebrew original literally means he died with God.
Okay.
And it's just, to me, it's just a fascinating story about, it doesn't matter how badly you fuck up, how badly you annoy people. If God likes you, he's going to work things out for you. He's going to take care of you. It may not be pleasant. It may not be fun. It may not be unpainful. But when you read that story,
it doesn't sound like he had bad intent, right? He didn't. He had bad advice. Well, but he did. Yeah, he did bad things.
He married a woman that was not good for him,
or several hundred.
And Isabel she was just the queen of shit. And as things worked out for her, you can tell God didn't like her much.
No,
but he did kind of like Ahab, and I would imagine that conversation was pretty good, sitting there under that tree. It's also the book where we get the story, my grandfather's favorite story, about Elisha and the children and the bear. Go on up, you bald head. Go on up, bald head. So Elisha calls down the bears to eat the children. My grandfather was fascinated by that story because he thought, well, that's how I'll get my kids and grandchildren to behave. I'll just say, if you don't behave, I'm going to call down the bears. I've got the bald head. And for some reason, I don't know why, we believed him. But there you go. Anyway, what's your favorite book? WTF at whatthefrock.org. We'd love to hear from you. Can't read that, can you?
No, it's blurry.
Yeah, it's First and Second Kings. Anyway.
Okay.
It's my favorite. Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod, and we were just talking about, religion stuff.
Religion. Yes, that's what we do. Occasionally.
Occasionally.
Sometimes somewhat tangentially, I suppose. I don't know. It was just a fascinating conversation to me to get into, because I always like to hear people's reasons for those kinds of things. Why do you like that? What is it that speaks to you about that? And I'm so tired. I'm going to say this. It's going to offend people. I'm so tired of the mush stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, Psalm 23.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You're lucky, Dave. You didn't talk to me beforehand. I could have said something like the Song of Solomon, which.
Oh, I love that book.
It's a great book,
awesome. But yes, it is.
In some ways, it may not be appropriate.
Look, you want to have some fun. Go read the original, not the King James. Go read the Book of Esther, and quit fiddling around with the English 1611 English purification of things.
Yeah,
That book is racy. That's the kind of book
titillating.
Yes, that's the kind of book that ought to be made into a movie, man. That book is hot. And I do mean hot. The whole book of the whole story of Joseph and Potiphar.
Yeah.
And Potiphar's wife. And you learn in the Talmud that it wasn't just Potiphar's wife. You know what made Potiphar mad about Joseph being accused of being with Potiphar's wife? You know what made him mad about that?
Go ahead.
It wasn't that she was his wife, and he was allegedly, because we all know he wasn't. It's that Potiphar wanted Joseph for himself.
Ugh.
And later on, the story you don't get in the Bible, later on, the story is that after Joseph becomes the vizier, after he interprets Pharaoh's dreams and becomes the favorite of Pharaoh, Potiphar emasculates himself because he's concerned. Anyway, these are things you learn. Yeah. These are, well,
Joseph's going to do it for him if he doesn't.
Yeah. So these are things you learn, when you actually delve into things that are far more interesting than just the King James Version Bible, which is another thing that pisses me off. But that Jesus spoke to King James. Did he? Because I'm pretty sure he didn't.
And he had red letters coming out of his mouth.
Yes. Oh my God! Sorry, we don't have time to get into all that. So
No.
things I do want to get into today, however, are I hope you enjoyed the New Year's Eve thing. We did have some issues.
Yeah.
Issue number one was, for some reason, when a Zoom did an update on mine, it just messed with my audio settings. And I've noticed this. I've had this problem with Bill's show where I'm just over driving. And it doesn't look like it here. All the VU meters, all the green flashy lights, all the stuff here is fine. But somehow or another, when it goes out over the air, it just blows up. And we've spent a lot of time in the last week, well, since New Year's Day, trying to dial all that in because we did have that problem. Now, for those of you who may have listened to it and went, well, this sounds like Isabel, we've gone back and fixed all. We've used the actual recording and synced it all up, so it should be okay now. It should be listenable now.
Well, with the exception, I'm now running Linux, so now my audio is going to be probably on crap. But we'll see.
But that's today. That wasn't
that's
the other day.
Today. Yeah,
I'm talking about New Year's Eve still. The bigger problem that we had was we didn't know this. See, we used to have a What the Frock Facebook page, and we found it worthless.
Well, we also had strikes against us for some of the images that we had posted.
Yeah, some of the stuff. So we got rid of it. And then we thought, well, let's bring it back for the new year. Let's bring it back and see if we can't get it to work. Thinking to ourselves that, okay, on New Year's Eve, we can live stream there.
Yeah.
Except that you can't.
And why is that, Dave?
Well,
what reason did they give you?
Here's what you need to understand. As we're launching the show, I'm trying to share it to the What the Frock Facebook page, and it keeps telling me you can't. So I'm putting it on my page, and then I try to share it to the What the Frock page, and it says, you can't. I'm like, what the? And we don't have time right then, because now we're stuck.
We're starting it.
So, and we had a time constraint. We had to be on at 8 and done by 9, and because, that's New Year's, and we didn't want to be here all night. I guess we could. I guess we really didn't, but anyway. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with this. So after the show, I'm fiddling around with it. And, of course, it turns out that you have to meet 2 conditions to be able to live stream on Facebook. And, by the way, the same is kind of true of YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. I thought, well, we could put it on YouTube, but then they wouldn't let me do it on YouTube. Why? Because of the same issue. On YouTube, we don't have enough content to be a viable page. We only have, I think, 6 videos on there. We'll fix that. We'll get there. The problem with Facebook was your page has to be a minimum of 60 days old, which makes sense. Okay. In all the groups I manage, I don't allow any new accounts into those groups. You must have a 6-month-old account or you're not coming in here, because otherwise you're just that. So 60 days. Well, we got to wait 60 days. Well, we put the page together, December 28th, something like that.
Something like that.
So somewhere around the end of February, early March, we should meet that criteria.
Okay.
But, ... And here's where you, the listener, comes in. We must have 60, what are they,
100.
fans?
It was 100 fans.
Followers. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. 160 days. 100 people following the page. As of right now, we have 35.
Okay.
As of this morning. Now,
so we're starting a pledge drive then, right? We're starting a pledge drive for people.
If you are my friend on Facebook, later today, you will get an invite to like this page. And if you don't, well, I might just go calling down the bears on you kind of thing here, because there's no reason for you not to. You don't have to pay attention to it. You don't have to go watch it. All you got to do is follow the page and then put it on mute. You don't have to follow us. You don't have to pay attention to us. We just need 100 followers so that we can live stream.
Is it likes or followers?
It's followers.
Okay.
Got to have followers. So that's where we got to have it, because otherwise we're not going to be able to live stream this thing when we hit the 60-day mark, at least not on the What the Frock page. And because we can't share it from our own personal pages, it's kind of pointless.
And the reason why this is important, Dave, right, is that we want to start doing more of these live streams, whether it's, I don't know so much when we record this show, but maybe periodically through the week. Right.
When we can just pop on and go, hey, this is Dave, or hey, this is Rod, or hey, this is Dave and Rod. This thing happened and this question for you. All those things that we do for engagement that make the podcast go, that make the podcast more participatory, make the podcast more engaging, as they say. Those are the kinds of things we're looking for. Kind of things like, like this.
What the Frock is more exciting than a spanking.
So I'm having fun with that stuff. Did you see the site? So I did one of those. I did that, obviously. But then I did, where did it go?
There was the scantily clad woman that you sent.
Yes, I did that one too. But I think
she was sort of undressing too, Dave. I'm not sure how you did that.
Well, you got to know what you're doing. Yeah, I did that one.
Please like the What the Frock Facebook page. It will make me happy.
So there's that.
Please like.
Oh, sorry. Well, I think my favorite one that I did the other day was, and then literally I did this, and like 10 minutes later they announced the whole Venezuela thing. So I didn't post it on the page because, well,
you're not going to be. Look, it's a great podcast, the best ever. It's What the Frock.
So since I couldn't use that one, I did this one.
Look, we had to arrest Maduro because he wasn't listening to What the Frock. Look, we had to arrest Maduro because he wasn't listening to What the Frock.
So those are the kinds of things that we want to do, and we want to do more of it, and we want to have, but we can't do it unless we have 100 followers on the page.
Yeah.
So it's not going to kill you. Again, even if you're, you don't care, you don't listen, whatever. I don't know why I'm talking to you, because you wouldn't be listening anyway. But I have 500 and some odd friends. How many do you have?
I've come in the 300s, maybe.
Every one of you 800 people is going to get a invitation to follow the page. And you should do it because, well, you should do it because you like us and we're good guys, and we need is 100 fans. We only need 100 fans. Only fans.
Well, you might want to suggest that you were talking about possibly doing some other.
I was toying with the idea of starting an OnlyFans account. obviously we wouldn't be doing those things, but is there any written? See, I don't know anything. I don't know. Is there any rule on OnlyFans that you have to be?
No, you can be any kind of content creator, but I think it's known for.
Right, I'm sure it is known for that. But let's. Can I put what the Frock on OnlyFans?
This is exciting podcasting right here.
It's thinking. Because I misspelled the. Anyway, I was toying with that. Short answer, yes, you could. Long answer, yes, but.
Would you really want to?
Right. It's a paywalled, intimacy-driven ecosystem. So, do I really want Rod taking his clothes off? There's be some brand shock. Some listeners will OnlyFans and imagine things that do not involve theology, history, or beer. By the way, OnlyFans is terrible for finding new audiences. It's for people who already trust you.
Well, not only that, but only one of us is working. And then if it got out that I had an OnlyFans page, it doesn't matter what the content really is.
Rod HR, I'd like to see you today. Anyway, I thought about it, but instead I just said we only need 100 fans. And
only fans, yeah.
Only fans. So there you go. So when you get that invitation, if you would please like the new page, it's whatthefrock.com. No, sorry. Facebook.com/whatthefrockpodcast.
Yeah.
Is this thing. And we'll put a link in the show today. And please follow that along, because otherwise I will call down the bears.
Said the bald man.
Said the bald man. And
you're sort of there, maybe.
Getting there, so that's all I've got. That's all I have to say about that.
Alrighty.
I'll call down the bears. And on that note, I am Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod.
And this has been
What the Frock 2026 edition.
Look, we had to arrest Maduro because he wasn't listening to What the Frock.
We sing while Rover's on, we do our thing. What the Frock is going on here? We may not know, but still we cheer. Raise your voice, your glass, your brow, because the Frock is happening now. Because the Frock is happening now.